Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 159. Today's title, Buttering the Bread on Both Sides. It's a quote from my granddaughter. And we'll hear more about that as we follow the story of Joseph. Now, he's in prison. He's in a different country. He's away from his family. But the Lord was with Joseph. So from Genesis chapter 39, one verse today, Genesis 39:21. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. Let me say it again. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him HESED. It's a Hebrew word, and it's translated into English as steadfast love or loyal love, or sometimes God's kindness and sometimes God's faithfulness. So it's extremely well known throughout the Bible. It's in the Bible hundreds of times, but it's a new concept here early in the Bible. So we're in the book of Genesis, and we're learning about Abraham. It talks, Abraham said God's HESED, Isaac got it, and now specifically Jacob or Joseph here is the third one to specifically enjoy God's HESED relationship. Now, why is this important? This is important because these three early guys got it, and so did others in the Bible. Adam got it too, just didn't talk about it. But it's so important that we understand that what happened to them, because it's the same for us. We either are experiencing God HESED, or we can experience God's HESED character, his faithfulness, his loving kindness, his steadfast love. So it is the way that God has chosen to interact with a mostly unfaithful, people called mankind. So you have to understand this, because your spiritual, eternal well-being depends 100% on HESED, and most people don't even know about it. So HESED is God's faithful outreach to an undeserving and often uncooperative people. So absent HESED, Abraham doesn't have a relationship with God. Adam doesn't have a relationship with God. Joseph doesn't have a relationship with God, and neither do you or me. So we have to understand this. And so this is way back when. This is in the earliest records of God interacting with mankind. That's why we call the book of Genesis the book of beginnings. And why do we study the Old Testament? Well, these concepts come at us a little bit slower, a little bit more developed. They take some time to develop, and I think they're more understandable. So we have to understand it today, because without HESED, we would be toast. So HESED is a concept that's only associated with God. It never existed in any language absent reference to God. And why is that? It's because it only describes the way that our one true God relates to his people. And it's not just a word. So HESED is a word, but it's translated a bunch of different ways, is because it's a world. It's a huge concept that the Hebrews have shrunk down into one word. And it's kind of this Jupiter of gravitational pull of concepts. It might be an exaggeration to say it is the defining characteristic of God, but it certainly is one of the defining characteristics of God, one of his main ones. So it's originated and defined and defended by God. He tells Moses a little bit down the road here, the Lord passed before him and proclaimed, the Lord, a God of mercy and graciousness, slow to anger, abounding in HESED, abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness, keeping steadfast love for thousands. So that's the part I want to emphasize, is he keeps HESED. So God is faithfully maintaining and guarding this. It's not happening by accident. This is God resolutely deciding, as this is the way I want to operate. Jeremiah 9:23 says, thus says the Lord, let not the wise man boast in his wisdom, or the mighty man boast in his might. Let not the rich man boast in his riches, but let him who boast in this, that he understands and knows me. But what about me? That I am the Lord who practices HESED, steadfast love, justice, and righteousness on the earth. For in these things I delight. So the Lord loves us about himself and wants us to love this about himself too. Now, all along here, he knows our dustfulness. He knows our sinfulness, and he continues to lean in. We saw that with, Adam and Eve in the garden, where God decides to turn to Adam and Eve and, ask them, where are you? Rather than saying, that's it, I'm done with mankind because of this first sin. So Hesed is the leaning in of God to mankind. It gives us no particular credit. It gives him the credit. So think about this. It's not our great worth that generates his Hesed and his faithfulness. It's his Hesed, his faithfulness, that causes us to be of great worth. So we've been sinful and unsteady and wrong-headed, and despite all this, we're seen by God, and that should terrify us. So all the, crap that goes on between your ears or in your hands, our lives cry out, unworthy, unholy, and he cries out, yep, you're mine. I'm going to die for you. You're precious. I'm going to stick with you. I'm going to hang in there with you. That's what Hesed did. So Hesed is this act of promise-keeping loyalty that's motivated by Godness, his deep personal care. It's the divine love that condescends to his creatures. And more specifically, what kind of creatures? Sinfulness, unmerited people, unmerited kindness. It's God's faithfulness to his people, to ongoing relationships despite our poor performance. I think Michael Card, who wrote a book about this, excellent book, his quote was, Hesed is when a person capital P, when a person from whom I have the right to expect nothing gives me everything. When a person from whom I have the right to expect nothing gives me everything. So Hesed combines the warmth of God's fellowship. So we get God, and then we get him for a long time. We get his faithfulness for a long time. All right, my personal favorite is my favorite 5-year-old. My granddaughter said that Hesed is when God butters the bread on both sides. So when in conclusion day, we have to end with worship, your steadfast love. Oh, God, we are just amazed before it. I worship you for holding me tight. I worship you for all that you have done and blessed, and we are beholden to this. And absent our relationship with him, we don't have this on our own. So Hesed, this faithfulness, this is what God gave Joseph in prison. This is what God gives us now. Wow. Thanks for listening.